Lily took a deep breath as she sat in the corner of the school library, surrounded by stacks of books that smelled like old paper and dusty shelves. They were her escape, a world where she could be anything but the girl hiding from the whispers and laughs. She liked the stories better than the ones of her own life, where bullies roamed the hallways like hungry wolves. One day, as she turned the pages of a magical book about brave knights, Lily heard a loud burst of laughter. It sounded so close, and she froze, her heart pounding like a drum. Peeking out from behind her fortress of books, she spotted Jenna and her gang. They were like a bad movie, the kind where you knew the monster was going to jump out when the music got loud. Jenna was the queen bee of bullies, with her perfectly styled hair and a laugh that made everyone around her feel small. She was like a dark cloud overshadowing everyone. But today, something strange happened. As Jenna strutted around the library, she suddenly tripped over a stray backpack. In a comical twist, she flailed her arms and landed right in the book display. There was a moment of silence, the kind when you're waiting for your friend to finish telling a joke. Then, everyone burst out laughing. Even Lily couldn't help but chuckle quietly. Jenna looked like a cartoon character, her face smudged with book covers and her dignity scattered like pages in the wind. That was the moment Lily realized bullies could be funny too. They weren't so scary when they tripped over their own feet. Maybe there was a way for her to fight back without sinking to their level. With each titter that echoed through the library, the weight of fear lifted a little. Then her thoughts turned darker, the kind of thoughts that make you feel like there's an anchor at the bottom of your stomach. When she was much younger, a shadow from her past lurked, a memory of scars nobody could see, a fight for survival that was quiet but powerful. She had come through it, but the shadows still danced in her mind. They whispered revenge against those who hurt her. But revenge is a tricky thing, like trying to catch smoke with your hands. One wrong move and it could destroy you instead. And yet, for every drop of anger, there was a spark of resilience rising within her. She remembered what a kind cop had once told her. You can't let the past paint your future, kiddo. You have to use it, learn from it. As she sat in the library, lost in her thoughts, another figure appeared in the corner of her eye. Detective Harris, the school's safety officer, known for his big heart and even bigger mustache, strolled in. His mustache twitched as he smiled at students. He was like a present-day superhero wrapped in slightly wrinkled clothes. He had a way of making everyone feel safe, and Lily felt lucky that he patrolled the building. Detective Harris noticed the kids laughing, and he walked over to Lily. "What's so funny?" he asked with a twinkle in his eye. Lily shrugged, a smile creeping on her lips. "Just a book on knights," she said. "And bullies in silly situations." He chuckled. "Well, bullies often forget they aren't untouchable. Sometimes they're just a few bad jokes away from slipping on a banana peel, right?" Lily laughed, picturing Jenna slipping and sliding, surrounded by a bunch of ripe bananas. She felt lighter, like she could float off the ground. "Right," she replied, her voice stronger. "Stay strong, Lily. Use laughter as your armor," he said before he continued his rounds, always watching, always caring. In that moment, Lily knew her feelings were valid, just like her journey through shadows and light. The battle against the bully might be long, but she had the support of the mustache wonder. And who knew? Perhaps she could turn the tale with her newfound spirit, and just maybe, even Jenna could learn a thing or two about laughter. Lily smiled and turned back to her book, ready to pen her own adventures. Each page turned, another story written, and perhaps in her heart, a little revenge transformed into wisdom. Lily scooted into her favorite corner of the library, surrounded by her fortress of books. Deep within the pages of her latest adventure, she found strength. It became a secret power, a little reminder that, like the heroes she read about, she could face her own challenges. That day, however, as she turned the pages of a fantasy novel, her thoughts wandered to Jenna, the school's most notorious bully. Just yesterday, Lily had witnessed Jenna trip over her own feet while strutting confidently in the hallway. The way Jenna fell, like a stack of books tumbling off a shelf, was sort of funny. For a moment, other kids laughed, and even Jenna's face turned redder than a ripe tomato. Lily chuckled to herself, realizing that even bullies can have their embarrassing moments. Determined to turn her newfound perspective into action, Lily spent her lunch break sitting next to Jamie, her only friend. Jamie was a bit of a jokester, always quick with a funny comment or silly face. "What do you call a bull that plays the piano?" Jamie asked, grinning. "A musician." Both erupted in laughter, the sound echoing through the cafeteria. It was like an invisible shield against the mean glances from Jenna and her crew, who sat a few tables away, plotting their next move like cartoon villains. Later that week, Lily learned that laughter could be a weapon, and she decided to sharpen it. She started keeping a little notebook, jotting down funny things her teachers said or silly jokes that popped into her head. Detective Harris, the school officer, saw her scribbling during a patrol of the library and stopped by. "What's cooking, Lily?" he asked with that warm, fatherly smile. "I'm writing jokes," she said, beaming. "To make people laugh, especially the bullies. I think if we make them laugh, maybe they won't be so mean anymore." Detective Harris chuckled. "Well, you know, laughter is like a superhero cape, gives you the power to take on anything." He paused for a moment, then added, "Just remember, sometimes the biggest bullies are the ones who need the most kindness." At that, Lily tilted her head, considering this wisdom. What if she could make Jenna laugh? Maybe, just maybe, she could reach the girl who seemed to live behind her own wall of fear. With renewed resolve, Lily began to plan a silly comedy skit for the upcoming talent show declared by the school. The brighter side of Lily shone. She would star in a play where even the bullies would have a chance to laugh at their own antics. As opening night approached, Lily felt thrill and dread dance around her stomach. What if nobody laughed? What if Jenna got mad? But she remembered Detective Harris' words and chose resilience. She could handle this. The lights dimmed in the auditorium, and Lily stepped onto the stage, heart pounding. Jamie played a goofy role as a bumbling knight, and Lily, dressed as a dragon, pretended to sneeze fire. "Why did the dragon cross the road?" she yelled. "To get to the other side, where the knights go instead of awa." Laughter erupted. Even Jenna snickered from the back. For a shimmering moment of glory, they all laughed together, the tension lifting. Lily's heart swelled with pride. This was her story unfolding, overcoming her fears with humor. That night, Lily learned that sometimes dealing with bullies didn't mean fighting back. It meant turning the evil laugh into a chuckle, mixing courage with creativity, and finding strength in her own voice. She decided to be a hero in her own way, through laughter, resilience, and a big heart. Lily felt lighter after the talent show. She had faced Jenna, and instead of swinging punches, she swung jokes. The school was buzzing with laughter, and for once, it felt like she wasn't treading through a minefield of fears. But just when she thought things might be looking up, trouble decided to knock at her door, literally. One evening, after a long day filled with school and giggles, Lily got home to find her mom arguing with someone. Lily tiptoed down the hallway, peeking around the corner. The voice belonged to a gloomy-looking man in a dark jacket. He was talking tough, and the words that floated back to Lily made her stomach drop. Money, threats, and something about getting what's owed echoed in her ears. Her heart raced faster than a squirrel on a caffeine high. She recalled a story from one of her books where the hero was brave and clever. Maybe she could channel some of that energy. Lily grabbed her phone and texted Jamie, "Need reinforcements. Can you come over?" Jamie replied fast, "On my way." As Jamie arrived, Lily could feel her heart pounding like she was about to jump on stage again. They scurried to the living room, where the tension hung in the air like a thick fog. The man turned when he heard them coming. "Who's this?" he barked, glaring at them like a lion eyeing its dinner. This is my friend Jamie, and we were just going to," Lily stammered, trying to think of something clever. She remembered something her dad told her once. Sometimes humor breaks the ice better than a hammer. So she went for it. "We were going to practice our pet talent show," Lily said, forcing a laugh that sounded a little too nervous. "You know, dogs that can dance or cats that can." "Enough," the man snapped, cutting her off. But in that moment, Jamie made her move. She grabbed a pillow from the couch and hurled it at him. "Take that, villain," Jamie shouted like a wild superhero. It made the air erupt into uncontrollable giggles from both girls, and for a split second, even the man looked flustered. "Are you too crazy?" he glowered, though a tiny smile crept on his face despite his effort to stay tough. Then, something unexpected happened. Their laughter broke his frown. For an instant, they were all just people in a room and the heaviness faded. But the dark reality didn't vanish. It was still lurking in the room, like a shadow waiting to pounce. Suddenly, the door burst open again. In walked Detective Lee, the friendly cop from their neighborhood. Lily's mom had called him in a panic. The tough guy turned wide-eyed and took a step back. I gotta go," he half-stammered, making a beeline for the door like his feet were on fire. "Not so fast," Detective Lee said, hand hovering, ready to catch anyone who tried to bolt. "How about we have a little chat?" The man glanced back, clearly weighing his options. Before he knew it, he was caught between the detective and two giggling girls still chuckling about the pillow fight. With the mood shifting, Lily felt a spark of resilience within her. She realized that she was stronger than she thought. When Detective Lee turned to them, he asked, "You girls all right?" "Yeah," Lily replied, feeling bold. "We were just performing a little act. Got any jokes up your sleeve?" Jamie jumped in. "You know, like why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field." Even the detective chuckled. And in that moment, the tension of the night felt a little less suffocating. Detective Lee handled the situation, making sure it wasn't going to get worse. As he escorted the troubled man out of the house, Lily felt grateful. It wasn't just Detective Lee's help, it was the bond she shared with Jamie and the courage she found within herself. After the door closed, Lily turned to Jamie and grinned. "What a night! I guess sometimes home isn't safe, but with friends around, it feels a lot less scary." Jamie nudged her shoulder with mock seriousness. "So what's next? Are we going to hire a pillow for our next show?" Lily burst out laughing. "Definitely, a magical pillow that can fly." And as they giggled over their new crazy ideas, a weight lifted, for even if home was tricky, together they could face any storm, and maybe turn their tales of trouble into new adventures after the show. Lily felt like she was on top of the world. She had faced down the bully in her own home with nothing but a smile and a joke, backed by Jamie and the brave Detective Lee. It was a night she would always remember, a mix of laughter and relief washing over her like a warm blanket. But as Lily woke up the next day, the fairy tale feeling faded a bit. Sure, she had faced her fears, but what about the lingering shadows? That's when she heard a knock on the door. It was Officer Flink. Officer Flink seemed like he stepped right out of a cartoon. He had a big mustache that almost deserved its own zip code, and a goofy smile that made him look like he just had a balloon animal at a kid's party. "Good morning, Lily. I'm here to check in on you," he said, standing there cheerfully, holding a box of donuts like it was a magic wand. "Why do I feel like I could trip over that mustache?" Lily thought, trying not to giggle, but there was something about him that felt safe. "So, how's your hero life going?" he asked, plopping down on a chair, his big belly almost spilling into the seat. I hear you took on the bully like a true champ. Lily smiled shyly, remembering the night before. I guess I discovered that I can stand up for myself with a little help from my friends. Ah, friends, the secret ingredient to every good superhero story. Officer Flink winked, and it made Lily think of a time where Jamie had convinced her to enter the talent show. So, what do you do for fun, Officer Flink? Lily asked, her curiosity getting the better of her. He paused, looking thoughtful. Well, I like to catch bad guys, eat donuts, and try to convince my cat, Mr. Whiskers, that he's actually a dog. Spoiler alert, he doesn't listen. He laughed, and Lily couldn't help but chuckle along. Just then, Jamie burst in out of breath. Did I miss the donut party? I hope there are sprinkles. Jamie's here, the party can officially start. Officer Flink declared, making a dramatic twirl with the donut box. With the goofy cop making sure the mood was bright, Lily felt the fear of her past fading away. They chatted, goofed around, and even started a silly debate about who would win in a race, Officer Flink or Mr. Whiskers. Laughter seemed to dance in the air, and for the first time in a while, the shadows felt less scary. Giggling, Jamie leaned close to Lily. You know, we should definitely take a picture to remember this moment. A goofy cop and two heroes, what could be funnier? As they posed, Officer Flink held up his donuts like trophies. Pizza slices and donuts for the win. But remember, heroes never let their food go to waste. Snap! The camera clicked, capturing that silliness in time, a little reminder of the strength that can be found when you're surrounded by good friends. As the morning passed, Officer Flink shared stories from his time on the job, each more ridiculous than the last. He once chased a cat that had stolen a lady's sandwich. Lily couldn't believe how much laughter could fill a room, how it could shine light on even the darkest corners. But in between the giggles, something deeper was happening. Lily realized that with every laugh, with every donut shared, her heart was healing a little more. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was creating a life filled with joy and friends. Thank you for being here, Officer Flink, she said sincerely, her heart warm. You make scary things seem, well, less scary. That's my job, kiddo. Plus, everyone needs a little bit of goofy in their lives, right? He grinned, and at that moment, Lily felt like she could take on the world. Perhaps not all stories were filled with battles and revenge. Sometimes they blossomed into something beautiful and hopeful, with just enough quirk to keep life interesting. And in that moment, Lily decided to keep finding that light. One laugh at a time. Lily sat outside on the swings with Jamie, her legs kicking beneath her. The sun was soft, and she felt its warmth wrapping around her like a big, cozy blanket. She was still buzzing from her little victory against her bully, but deep down, a small knot of worry still twisted in her tummy. Just then, Detective Lee jogged over, his breath coming in quick puffs and his trademark grin plastered on his face. Hey, detectives, he announced, pretending to pull out an invisible detective badge. Ready for our next big case of the day? More like a donut run, Jamie replied, grinning as he nudged Lily playfully. Right, Officer Flink. At the mention of Officer Flink, they all burst into laughter, recalling the time he got his glasses stuck on his face while trying to catch a runaway chicken at the school's petting zoo. It was the kind of moment that made all their worries feel a universe away. Okay, enough about chickens. Detective Lee joined in the laughter, shaking his head. But really, we do have a case to crack. Have you guys heard about the missing report cards? They've just vanished. Lily's curiosity piqued. The recent mystery suited her newfound superhero mood. You mean all the secret reports are gone? Wait, what do you think happened? Detective Lee scratched his chin dramatically. I think we need to think like detectives. Let's put on our thinking caps. He dramatically pulled a baseball cap over his head, adding a flourish. And maybe eat some donuts to fuel our brains. Donut fuel perfect. Jamie laughed, nearly bouncing on his swing. They gathered themselves and set off, half running, half skipping toward the school, where little whispers floated about the lost report cards. Inside, the hallways buzzed with nervous laughter. Students were anxious about what could have happened. "Okay, team, we need to split up," said Detective Lee, a serious look crossing his face. "Lily, go talk to the cafeteria staff. Jamie, you search the gym. I'll check the teacher's lounge. Use your best detective skills and remember, friendship is key," Lily said, giving Jamie a thumbs up. They scattered like colorful confetti, fear melting away into determination. Lily made her way to the cafeteria, where the aroma of pizza lingered in the air, tickling her nose. Miss Potter, the cafeteria lady, was busy arranging trays and seemed almost too focused to notice Lily at first. "Excuse me, Miss Potter, do you have any secret clues about the missing report cards?" Lily asked, trying her best to sound serious. Miss Potter chuckled, wiping her hands on her apron. "Secrets? Honey, the only secret I know is how to make the best spaghetti on Wednesdays. But I did hear some kids looking suspicious near the janitor's closet last week, laughing like it was a comedy show. That could be a clue." Lily thanked her, her heart racing with excitement. She turned to head for the janitor's closet when she bumped right into Jamie. "Nothing in the gym but some lost basketball shoes. But I heard the same thing," he said, eyes sparkling. "Let's check it out together." Side by side, they made their way to the mysterious closet, thinking of all the fun they could uncover. As they reached for the doorknob, they exchanged glances filled with nervous giggles. "What if it's a monster or worse, Bully Brad?" Jamie joked, his eyes wide, making Lily giggle. "Please, if there's a monster in there, I'd tickle it silly," Lily said, feeling brave again. With a deep breath, they pushed the door open, only to find, surprise, taped to the wall were colorful report cards sprinkled like confetti. "There they are," Lily squealed in delight. "But who put them here?" As they gathered the cards, they found a note attached. "To the ones who face fears, here are your hidden treasures. Don't let anyone bully you." "Wow," Jamie exclaimed, eyes shining. "Maybe it was our secret admirer. What if they're also dealing with a bully?" "Let's find out," Lily declared, a new fire lighting in her. They looked at each other and nodded knowingly. This was just the beginning of their detective adventure. With laughter bubbling like a shaken soda can, they dashed back toward the playground, fueled by the sweetness of friendship, mystery, and a sprinkle of bravery. The real game of detecting had just begun, and together, nothing could stop them. In a cozy corner of the school cafe, Lily and Jamie sat at their usual table, sipping on their bright, fruity smoothies. The sun streamed through the window, casting a warm glow around them. They couldn't help but feel the thrill of their last adventure. But as they chatted and giggled, Lily's face turned serious. "Jamie," she said, leaning in closer, "I've been thinking." Jamie raised her eyebrow, intrigued. "Oh, whenever you say that, something wild is about to happen." With a determined glint in her eyes, Lily continued, "We did a great job finding those report cards, but what about the people who think they can bully us or worse?" She paused, letting her words sink in. "I think it's time we show them that we're not just victims, we're survivors." Jamie's eyes sparkled with mischief. "You mean a little payback?" "Exactly, but not in a way they expect." "We're going to outsmart them," Lily said, her confidence growing. "Let's create a plan of attack that's all about surprises, like a secret mission." They both chuckled at the idea, imagining themselves as undercover agents. "What's the first step?" Jamie asked, already feeling the excitement bubble up inside her. "First, we need to gather information," Lily replied, her voice earnest. "We can set up a little investigation party, just like we did with Detective Lee. We'll survey the school and find out who the main bullies are and what their weak spots are." Jamie giggled. "Like a superhero team. What do we call ourselves? The Report Card Avengers." Lily snickered at the name. I love it, but we need something cooler. How about the Revenge Squad? Perfect. I can already picture us wearing capes made from old report cards, Jamie said with a dramatic flair. We'll be the protectors of the innocent. With their roles defined, they wasted no time. They decided that Lily would tackle the front line and confront the bullies directly, while Jamie would gather info from their peers, acting as a spy. As they set their plans in motion, they learned that one of the key bullies Mark had a big fear of puppies. The duo snickered at how silly it was, then brainstormed how to turn that into their advantage. Let's organize a puppy day at the school, Lily suggested, her excitement radiating like the sun outside. We can invite everyone, including Mark, so we need to find some puppies. Jamie nodded. That's genius. He'll be so occupied with the puppies, he won't even know what hit him. As they navigated through the preparations, they remembered Detective Lee's advice about staying calm under pressure and using their wisdom. They knew they had to keep their heads cool if they wanted to fool the bullies. Finally, the day of the big event arrived. The schoolyard was transformed with colorful posters and cute puppy decorations. Kids roamed about, petting the cute little dogs as they played. And right there in the middle of it all was Mark, with wide eyes glued on the fluffy furballs. Lily and Jamie watched with glee from a distance as they saw Mark, a former terror, now surrounded by playful puppies. It was a beautiful sight. Mark was laughing, swirling around in pure joy, forgetting all about his usual tough guy attitude. With a triumphant smile, Lily whispered, "Look at him. This is the best revenge, making him see how fun it is to be kind and not a bully. Maybe he'll learn something." And as they moved closer, preparing to gently chat with Mark about the importance of kindness, they felt a rush of satisfaction. This was about resilience, wisdom, and a little bit of humor blended together, creating a lesson bigger than revenge. It was about bringing people together, smiling in the face of challenges, and sometimes turning a bully into a friend. As they joined the crowd, laughter rang around them, and the day ended not just as a victory, but as a heartwarming reminder that joy and friendship could often defeat fear and meanness. Lily sat cross-legged on the grass during lunch, her heart still thumping from the success of Puppy Day. Jamie plopped down beside her, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Can you believe it? We turned the big, bad bully into a softie." Jamie laughed, motioning dramatically with his hands as if he were unveiling a grand magic trick. "Right, it's like we waved a magic wand and asterisk poof asterisk marks a puppy-loving goofball now." Lily chuckled, remembering the sight of Mark, usually tough and scowling, giggling as a tiny golden retriever licked his face. But deep inside, Lily felt a little more complicated. Sure, they had turned Mark's mood around, but she still felt that little weight of all the things she'd faced alone before. All the moments when she felt too small to stand up. She took a deep breath, deciding it was time to try a different slice of bravery. "Let's do something bolder," Lily said suddenly, her voice determined. "What if we invite everyone to share their stories? You know, about feeling bullied or misunderstood. We can show them that being brave means being honest. And maybe we give Mark a chance to tell his side, too." "Ooh, I like it. A story share. It'll be like a show and tell, but for feelings," Jamie said, his eyes twinkling. "We can even make it a cake party to keep the fun vibe." Lily's face brightened. "Yes, a piece of cake party." They both laughed at the pun. "You bring the cake, I'll bring the stories." After school, they began brainstorming ideas, even consulting a friendly detective named Officer Ramirez who often visited the school for safety workshops. "You know, officer, we want to have a party to share our experiences," Jamie said, nervously wringing his hands. "Do you think that could help others?" "Absolutely," he nodded, genuine warmth in his eyes. "Sharing is powerful. You're brave for even thinking about it." Just remember, not everyone might be ready to open up right away. Lily and Jamie took note of his wisdom. As they planned the details for the next week, a tiny anxiety nagged at Lily. What if Mark didn't want to share? What if he still felt angry or ashamed? But she pushed the worries away, focusing on the excitement surrounding their idea. The cake baking was a team effort, with half-baked cupcakes sprouting from their kitchen like lumpy little mountains, each one adorned with less frosting and more laughter. Each flop or mishap became a funny anecdote. A cupcake exploding in the oven became their volcano cake, and a slippery frosting disaster turned into the right kind of hilariously sticky glue sticking them closer together. Finally, the day arrived for their piece of cake party, and Lily felt a mix of nerves and glee. She stood at the front of the room, cake piles 1, 2, and 3 decorating the tables around her. Hey, everyone! We're here to share our stories because we believe that every story helps us connect and grow. When it was Mark's turn to speak, a hush fell over the room. He shifted in his seat, looking at his feet. He hesitated, and it felt like minutes stretched across the silence before he finally looked up. Sometimes I push people away because I don't want to get hurt. I guess sharing makes me scared. Their hearts softened. Who would have thought the bully had those feelings? Lily could see everyone nodding, a sprinkle of understanding blooming in the air. As each story unfolded, laughter mingled with teary eyes, and Lily felt alive with the magic of resilience. It turned out that by sharing, they were all finding their own ways to be brave. The tears and giggles blended together, forming a tapestry of strength. Little by little, wall by wall, friendship grew. As the day wrapped up, there were no winners or losers, just a bunch of friends, yes. Even Mark, who realized that it was easier to face life's difficulties together. They left the room feeling lighter, as if they'd shared a piece of cake and discovered a slice of kindness in return. Lily looked at Jamie and laughed. Next time, we may need more cake. Absolutely. Who knew standing up could taste so sweet? Jamie grinned, clapping his hands. And just like that, they took brave little steps, leaning into laughter, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. Lily and Jamie were buzzing with excitement after their piece of cake party. It felt like a warm blanket on a chilly day, wrapping everyone in comfort, laughter, and honest stories. They couldn't believe how much sharing had helped connect their classmates. Even Mark had transformed from just the school bully to someone they could understand better. But the feeling of happiness didn't last long. Twists were waiting to greet them like an old friend at a surprise party. The next day, as they walked into the school, Jamie squinted at the rumor mill spinning around them. I swear I heard people talking about some old secrets of Mark's that didn't sound good, she said, shaking her head. I mean, can't a person just be nice for once? Lily shrugged, her brow furrowing in concern. I like the new Mark. What kind of secrets could ruin that? Before they could ponder this any further, Officer Ramirez walked in. He had a serious look on his face, and the students fell silent. It was like someone had clicked the pause button on their conversations. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to remind you all about the importance of looking out for one another, he said, glancing at Mark, who was looking down at his shoes like they were the world's most fascinating exhibit. Sometimes people hide things, but sharing can uncover those secrets, just like uncovering a treasure buried deep in the sand. Lily felt a tingle of unease. If secrets were like treasures, what happened if they turned out to be junk? She and Jamie exchanged worried glances. Later that day, as they sat in their favorite corner of the cafeteria munching on pizza, Mark plopped down next to them. Hey, can we talk? He mumbled, scratching his head as if it held a secret code. Sure, what's up? Me said, trying to sound as cheerful as she could, even though the unease from earlier still clung to her like a stubborn shadow. Mark took a deep breath. You know how I shared that story about the time I was bullied? He glanced around nervously, checking for eavesdroppers. Well, there's more, something that got left out. Lily leaned in, her heart pounding. What do you mean? I used to think I was tough, you know, but then I realized tough doesn't mean you don't hurt. I had to deal with bullying at home too, he confessed, his voice trembling. It feels like there's a storm in my chest. I got angry and wanted revenge, but it just hurt me more. Jamie's eyes widened. That's a lot to carry, but revenge isn't the answer, you know. It's like stepping in a puddle thinking you're gonna stay dry. Mark chuckled, a little smile breaking through the tension. You're right. If I splash around too much, I end up soaked. Just then, a loud bang echoed through the cafeteria. The source was a group of boys who had been watching from the sidelines, their laughter ringing like alarm bells. Look at Mark trying to be all emotional. What a loser. One of them shouted, throwing a half-eaten apple in Mark's direction. Anger shot through Lily like a lightning bolt. Hey, that's not cool, she snapped, standing up. Mark's trying to be brave and you're just being bullies. The cafeteria grew silent again, all eyes on the brewing confrontation. Officer Ramirez, who had been passing by, raised an eyebrow. He stepped in, hands on his hips. Seems like someone over here needs a lesson in respect. Everyone deserves kindness, don't you think? The boys shuffled, some mumbling apologies, while others just looked awkward. It was like a bad sitcom where the punchline fell flat. Mark, Ramirez said gently, this is your moment to teach them what courage really means. Mark took a deep breath, standing a little taller. You think being a bully makes you strong, but it only weakens you. It's like throwing a rock at a glass house. Eventually, the glass breaks. A ripple of understanding washed over the cafeteria. Suddenly, it seemed like everyone was realizing that they all had their secrets and battles. As they all settled back down, Jamie smiled at Mark. Sometimes, the biggest twists in life help us find the courage we didn't know we had, like a plot twist in a thrilling novel. Mark laughed, the tension dissolving into camaraderie. I guess we're all just characters in each other's stories, trying to make them better. As the lunch bell rang, Lily felt a little spark of hope. With every twist life threw at them, they were learning and growing together, proving that resilience could turn even the ugliest secrets into bonds of friendship and wisdom. The road ahead might still hold surprises, but one thing was for sure. They were ready to navigate it together, one story at a time. The sun was shining bright the day after the piece of cake party, and the air was buzzing with excitement. Lily, Jamie, and their friends felt that special magic, the kind that comes right after a big moment of honesty. Mark, who once hid behind his tough guy act, was now the talk of the school, but not in a bad way. It was more like, did you hear what he said? That took guts. But just as things were starting to feel good, whispers began to swirl around again like leaves in the wind. Old rumors started to creep back, and before long, some of the kids who didn't change their ways began to get riled up. You know how bullies can be. They smell weakness like dogs sniffing out a sandwich. One afternoon, while they were all gathered in the park, honestly just trying to enjoy pizza and a bit of sunshine, those whispers became actual taunts. A group of older students, still stuck in their ways, approached Mark with smirks plastered on their faces. Hey, tough guy, thought we scared you off for good, ready for round two. They laughed in a way that made your stomach drop. But instead of stumbling back, Mark stood up, shoulders straight. You think I'm scared? You have no idea what I've been through. He shouted back, surprising everyone, including himself. It was like a light bulb turned on, shining brightly in the shadows. Lily and Jamie exchanged hopeful looks. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. They knew it was time to catch those bullies in their own game. Let's show them they picked the wrong person to mess with, Jamie whispered to Lily, excitement bubbling in her voice. And just like that, the plan was hatched. They decided to stage a crazy chase. Lily rounded up their friends, and they all secretly grabbed whatever goofy costumes they could find. There were capes, wigs, and even a giant sandwich that Tom insisted on wearing. They knew it'd be a perfectly silly distraction. As the group marched toward the bullies, they couldn't help but laugh as they shouted, "Ready or not, here we come." They danced and pranced around like they were in some ridiculous parade. And as the bullies turned to gawk, confusion washed over their faces. Mark laughed out loud. "Can't you see, we're not scared of you anymore?" It was a mix of joy and relief as laughter replaced the tension. The bullies, caught off guard, could only glare as they watched a mini parade of friendship march defiantly before them. But the fun didn't stop there. Jamie then got an idea, one that would make their adventure even wilder. They called the school detective Officer Lisa, who was known for her wisdom and bubbly personality. "Can you help us stage a little surprise?" they asked, excitement pouring from every word. Officer Lisa, never one to miss out on a chance to teach a lesson, agreed with a chuckle. "Let's catch those bullies in the act." As they plotted their prank, everyone felt the thrill of revenge, not cold or mean-spirited, but a clever reminder that bullying was not okay. Soon enough, they set their plan into motion. Officer Lisa disguised herself as a student, in a very convincing wig, mind you, and watched from a distance as Lily, Jamie, and the rest of their crew staged playful antics to distract the bullies. "What's happening?" one bully said, scratching his head as he watched the chaos unfold. The gang rallied around them, holding up signs that read, "Kindness is cool," and "Let's play together." The looks on the bullies' faces were priceless. When it became clear that the fun wasn't going to stop, Officer Lisa stepped in, revealing herself. "Looks like you boys need a lesson on treating others with respect." With their own actions turned against them, the bullies were cornered. And slowly but surely they shrank back, realizing that their power was slipping. As the day wound down, Mark looked at his friends, newly found confidence dancing in his eyes. "I didn't know standing up could feel this good," he admitted, a genuine smile breaking across his face. In that moment, as they all cheered and high-fived each other, it became crystal clear that they had taken control of their lives, not just out of revenge but out of love for each other. They had learned that true strength comes from standing together, dressed like superheroes, ready to face whatever came next. In this crazy chase, they had not only caught the bullies, but they had also caught a deeper bond of friendship and resilience that would stick with them through thick and thin. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the neighborhood, Mark, Lily, and Jamie gathered in Mark's garage. It had turned into their unofficial headquarters, filled with half-baked ideas and a little bit of everything. The walls were plastered with sketches from their silly costume party, each drawing a reminder of their bond. "All right, team," Mark said, pumping his fist like a sports coach. "If we can handle the bullies in silly wigs, maybe we can go bigger." Jamie raised an eyebrow, squinting at the ridiculous chicken costume hanging on the wall. "What's bigger than that? A full-on chicken squad." "Why not?" Lily chimed in, laughing. "We can call ourselves the Cluck Brigade." Mark chuckled but then grew serious. "But really, we need a plan. The bullies aren't going to just sit back after losing to our chicken dance." Just then, there was a knock on the garage door. It creaked open, and in walked Officer Lisa holding a fresh pack of donuts. "Did someone say plan? Because I'm all ears and no, this donut isn't part of it." She winked and the trio laughed. After sharing a sweet treat, Mark shared his biggest worry. What if they come back with a bigger plan for revenge? They're not exactly known for being nice. Officer Lisa nodded, her face turning serious. "You know, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to stand firm, but with bravery comes wisdom. You've already faced those bullies once. Use what you learned." Like how to dress up as clucking poultry, Jamie joked. No, silly, Officer Lisa chuckled. I mean knowing how to turn a scary situation into a fun one, but you also need to be prepared for change, a kind of surprise showdown. Mark's eyes sparkled with determination. So we could be ready for anything, huh? Like bringing our own surprises. Exactly, Officer Lisa said, her face lighting up. But keep it safe. Remember, if it gets dark, there could be unexpected faces showing up, and not all of them will be fun. As if on cue, the lights started to flicker. It was a warm night, but suddenly a shiver ran through Mark. What if the bullies plan something sneaky? With a resilient smile, Lily said, then we just shine brighter. We'll be the lights in the dark. The group huddled close, brainstorming ideas, laughing, and even doing some playful role-playing. Officer Lisa joined in too, strutting around in her uniform, putting on a funny accent as she pretended to interrogate their imaginary bullies. But the fun took a quick turn when they heard shouting outside. The laughter faded, replaced by the sounds of conflict nearby. Mark's heart raced as he led the group to a window where they caught a glimpse of the bullies, pushing around other kids. Not again, Mark muttered, his earlier confidence faltering as fear bubbled under the surface. Well, Jamie began, glancing nervously at Officer Lisa for reassurance. What's the plan? Officer Lisa took a deep breath, her tone turning serious and calm. Let's not jump head first. We need to be smart heroes, not reckless ones. Let's gather the other kids and we'll make sure everyone feels safe. Mark nodded, his earlier worries lifting slightly. Yeah, together we can make a big stand. Plus, I've got the chicken costume and I won't be alone in it this time. They all laughed, the tension breaking like a fragile bubble. As they rushed out to rally their friends, Mark felt a surge of hope. You guys, just remember, he said, being brave means being scared but still going for it. With Officer Lisa leading the charge, laughter, and a sprinkle of silly courage guiding them, Mark felt ready to face whatever showdown awaited in the shadows as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Lily, Mark, and Jamie sat huddled in Mark's garage, plotting their next moves like a bunch of secret agents on a mission. The air was thick with the mix of old motor oil and their bubbling excitement. They had discovered strength together, and now it was time to call in some reinforcements. Okay, team, Mark said, his voice low and serious like a detective from a cop show. We need backup, quirky backup. Jamie's eyes sparkled with mischief. Quirky? Are we not quirky enough already? Lily giggled. I mean, the last time we faced the bullies, we used spaghetti as a weapon. What could be more quirky than that? Fresh ideas brewed, and the crew dove into a brainstorming session. They were only kids, but they felt like heroes on a treasure hunt. Just then, the garage door creaked open with a comical squeak, and in walked Mrs. Jenkins, their enthusiastic neighbor who made it her mission to save the world, one cat at a time. Did I hear something about bullies? She exclaimed as if she'd just caught wind of a robber in a superhero flick. Mrs. Jenkins, with her wild hair and colorful scarves, didn't quite fit the mold of a traditional hero, but when it came to helping the kids in the neighborhood, she was always ready for action. Yeah, we kinda need some oddball help, said Jamie, scratching his head nervously. Count me in, Mrs. Jenkins grinned. Do you know what they say, an army of cats is an army of fun? Lily almost choked on her laughter. We might need something a little more aggressive, you know, like a war drum, or maybe those giant inflatable hammers. Just then, the door swung open again, revealing two other characters who stepped into the chaos like they owned the place. It was Robbie and Sam, the twins known for their not-so-great sense of humor and their legendary prank skills. What are you guys up to? Robbie said, trying to sound cool, but he looked more like a confused cat. Bullies. Jamie blurted out, and suddenly Robbie and Sam wore expressions as serious as detectives. "Count us in," Sam shouted, bouncing on the balls of his feet. "We can fill their backpacks with whipped cream, or give them a taste of their own medicine, like Jello medicine." Robbie offered with a laugh that bubbled like a fizzy soda. Lily's heart swelled with warmth as quirkiness began to fill the garage, just like balloons at a birthday party. As much as their plans were wild and humorous, it sparked a sense of confidence within them all. They were no longer just kids hiding in fear. They were a team ready to stand up for themselves. Soon after, Officer Lisa arrived, looking ready for a stakeout in her no-nonsense uniform. With a twinkle of humor in her eyes, she nodded at the crowd, which seemed to look like a circus act aimed at fending off a pack of lions. "Okay, let's not plot against the bullies with whipped cream just yet," she said, chuckling under her breath. "How about we think smart first? What if we organized a talent show? The park has an open space, and everyone loves a good show. We can invite all the neighborhood kids, including the bullies. They won't see it coming." "Wait, a talent show," Lily said, suddenly picturing a stage filled with everything from magic tricks to awkward dance moves. "That could totally work, but what if they just mess it up?" "Here's the plan," Officer Lisa continued, her voice steady. "We'll use the show as a way to highlight the things we love about each other. And if they try to bully, we'll have everyone stand behind the acts together. With laughter and joy, we can show them that we're not afraid." Lily felt a rush of enthusiasm as she glanced at her friends. The ideas flew around, everyone contributing their quirky talents. Jamie was determined to showcase his weird magic tricks, while Mark brainstormed hilarious skits they could pull off on stage, perhaps featuring balloon animals that would dance to silly songs. The group leaned into their ideas, bonding over this shared creativity. The garage transformed from a secret base to a creative nest of friendship, laughter, and the promise of brighter days ahead. And for the first time in a long while, Lily felt lighter inside. Revenge, she realized, could come in many forms: laughter, friendship, and the power of standing together. As the evening deepened and stars started to twinkle outside, they finished planning their makeshift talent show, excited by the thought of what tomorrow would bring. But most of all, they were prepared. They would confront the bullies not with anger, but with resilience and their own brand of quirky humor, ready to show the world they weren't alone anymore. The morning sun peeked through the curtains in Lily's room, casting a warm glow that seemed to fill every corner with hope. She stretched and let out a yawn, feeling surprisingly lighthearted. After all, today was the day of the talent show, the big event to show everyone that they were more than just targets for the bullies. Lily rushed down to the kitchen where Jamie was already munching on cereal, their usual breakfast chatter bubbling with excitement. "Are you ready for today?" Jamie asked, a slice of banana stuck to her cheek. "As ready as I'll ever be," Lily replied, chuckling as she wiped the banana off Jamie's face with a napkin. "We've got Mrs. Jenkins bringing her tap shoes, and who knows what those prankster twins will come up with." Just as they laughed about it, Mark burst through the door, wearing a huge grin and holding a handful of glitter. "Guys, this is going to be epic. We'll sprinkle this everywhere and the bullies' eyes will literally sparkle when they see how fabulous we are." Lily couldn't help but giggle. "Sparkly eyes are definitely a start. We might blind them with our awesomeness." As they gathered in Mark's garage, they noticed Mrs. Jenkins mopping the floor, her white hair tied up in a bright pink headscarf. "What are you kids up to?" she asked, a teasing glint in her eye. "We're getting ready for the talent show," Mark exclaimed, tossing glitter into the air just for fun. It landed all over Mrs. Jenkins, who laughed and said, "Oh dear, looks like I'm in a disco party now." "We could have a tap dance routine to go with that," Jamie giggled. The group spent the next few hours preparing and practicing. Robbie and Sam juggled, and to everyone's surprise, they could actually do it without breaking anything. "This is how we avoid the heavy stuff," Sam joked, tossing a rubber chicken into the air. It flopped down next to Jamie, who yelped. "Now that's a foul move," she said, earning groans from everyone. Once practiced, they decided it was time to make their way to the community center for the show. The air was filled with laughter and the nervous excitement of kids pulling each other along, facing a crowd that hadn't been so friendly before. Just before they went on stage, Officer Lisa came down the hall, a proud smile on her face. Not nervous, right? Just ready to shine. She had a way of making them feel brave. "Ready," they all shouted in unison, but Lily's heart raced. She could almost hear the laughter of the bullies echoing in her mind. She took a deep breath and remembered what they all had been through, how much they'd fought and bonded over their fears. As they stepped onto the stage, the bright lights hit their faces. Just like that, all their worries melted away. They could see their neighbors, a motley crew of friends and family, cheering them on with goofy signs and loud claps. Lily took her place at the center of the stage, her heart pounding with a mix of thrill and nerves. "Okay, everyone, we're here to show you just how resilient we can be," she called out. It felt good to say that. As they launched into their surprisingly synchronized performance, the energy in the room shifted. Laughter rose from the crowd. They danced, they juggled, and even Mrs. Jenkins tapped her feet as she joined in, shaking her maracas like she was the star of the show. Lily's confidence soared, and soon she found herself taking a step forward. "You know, this is our moment. We are not just kids who got bullied, we are resilient." Each cheer from the crowd lit her up like a firework. By the time the final act came around, they were beaming. The applause echoed around the room, and it felt not just like a win against the bullies, but a victory over the fear that had held them back for too long. As they took their final bow, Lily turned to her friends. "Can you believe we did it?" she asked, her voice wavering with excitement. "Of course. And to think all it took was some glitter laughter and a little wisdom from old Mrs. Jenkins." Jamie replied, hugging her tightly. "Hey, and now we can add talent show champions to our resumes." Mark joked, punching the air. The night ended with smiles, and for the first time Lily felt light. They had each other, their quirky neighbor, and a newfound sense of strength. Whatever came next, they knew they could face it together. They were strong, they were resilient, and above all, they were friends ready to chase away the shadows of the past. One glittery step at a time. The lights had barely dimmed from their big night at the talent show when Lily and her friends found themselves sitting on Mrs. Jenkins' porch, the air sweet with the smell of summer and popcorn. They could still feel the rush of adrenaline, the loud cheers echoing in their ears like a happy song. "You guys really rocked that stage." Lily laughed, wiping a tear from her eye, partly from joy and partly because she was pretty sure she had choked on a popcorn kernel just after their big finish. Her friends giggled along, still buzzing from the excitement. "I've never felt so alive," said Mia, her brown hair bouncing as she spoke. "Like, who knew we could actually be good at something other than avoiding bullies? Or striking dramatic poses while pretending to be wounded victims?" Tyler chimed in, folding his arms and striking a pose like he was a superhero. Then he winked at them. "But today, we showed them." Just then, Mrs. Jenkins shuffled out with a tray of cookies that looked too good to be true. "Here you go, my darlings, a little sugar to fuel your courage." She looked at them proudly as if they were her own grandkids. "Thanks, Mrs. J, you're the queen of cookies," shouted Lily, grabbing a cookie and devouring it. As they munched away, the talk drifted from the show to something a bit heavier. They had fought hard to get there, and not every battle was won by light-hearted laughter. Lily's smile faded for just a moment. "You know, I used to think that nothing could scare me more than bullies at school," she said, a hint of seriousness creeping into her tone. But we've fought through so much more. Tyler nodded. Things like, well, what happened to us in the past still sting, right? But look at how far we've come. At that moment, Officer Lisa rolled up in her patrol car. She stepped out, her kind smile always ready to bring light to a dark situation. Hey, kiddos, what are you doing out here? Just celebrating our talent show victory. Lily called out, feeling the joy bubbling up again. We brought down the house. Officer Lisa chuckled. I can hear that. You should be proud. Remember, bravery comes in many forms. It's not just about being strong, also standing together when you're scared. As she spoke, a few nearby kids who had once bullied Lily's group wandered by, whispering amongst themselves. Lily's heart raced. But this time, instead of hiding, she stood taller, holding her cookie like a trophy. Hey, she called out, and her friends joined her. We just rocked the stage. What have you guys done lately? For a moment, the world seemed still, and then the bullies just shrugged and walked away, their heads down. See, they're afraid of us now, said Mia, trying not to burst into laughter. They cheered, shouting silly mottos about friendship and resilience. Mrs. Jenkins finally put down her tray, shaking her head and saying with a wink, maybe we should start a band, the Resilience Rock Stars. Lily felt a little spark in her heart, more than just excitement, it was hope. What if we actually did? She shot back playfully. The stage is all ours now. Suddenly, the evening took a twist no one expected. Lily's phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number asking to meet up and talk about everything. There was that little edge of danger, but also a glimmer of adventure. Guys, I just got a weird text, she said, glancing at her friends. What do we do? Meet them, Tyler replied without hesitation. We've come this far, why not see where this leads us? With a mix of courage and a hint of nervousness, they decided that what lay ahead might be risky, but they could take on the world together, one awkward step at a time. As they gathered their things and got ready to leave, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that this rendezvous could be the start of something wild, something that mattered. Because in that moment, she knew they had survived the worst, and whatever faced them next couldn't break their bond. With laughter lighting their way, the fearless friends moved into the unknown, ready for the final countdown. Lily and Flink sat on the swing set at the park, their feet kicking lazily against the dusty ground. The sun was golden like they were in a movie, and Lily couldn't shake off the thrill from the talent show. Can you believe we actually did that? She said, grinning from ear to ear. Flink laughed, his blonde hair blowing in the gentle breeze. Yeah, and we didn't even trip over each other. Yet. They both giggled and then shared a quiet moment, the weight of their past settling in for a moment. Remember when the bullies were always lurking? Lily asked, her smile fading a little. It felt like we were fish in the shark tank, right? Flink nodded, serious for a second. Yeah, but look at us now. We're like those fish who learned to swim in the deep end. We survived. We faced the scary stuff head-on. Suddenly, Flink slapped his forehead. Oh, speaking of head-on, remember when you tried to lead the school project and we ended up gluing ourselves to the poster board? Lily burst out laughing. And Mrs. Jenkins had to rescue us. I thought we'd permanently become the sticky duo. Their laughter echoed through the empty park, reminding them how far they had come. But as their giggles faded, a shadow crossed Lily's face. What about the mysterious text I got last night? Flink raised an eyebrow. You mean the one that said adventure awaits? But watch your back, that's straight out of a movie script. I know, but what if it's a bad movie with a villain? She said, biting her lip. I mean, we've dealt with bullies, but what if someone is serious? Flink took a deep breath. Remember what Officer Lisa said? She said we've got the strength of 1,000 superheroes. Besides, if it's a villain, we'll outsmart them, like playing chess with a chicken. Lily chuckled, imagining a chicken in a checkered tie trying to think 3 moves ahead. But what if it's worse? She said, the reality crashing back. What ifs are like balloons, Flink said wisely. They look pretty until they pop. Let's focus on what we can do, like being together. You're right, Lily exclaimed. We can do anything together, we have the friendship glue. Exactly, and if we ever get sticky again, we'll just call Mrs. Jenkins. Flink laughed, flapping his arms like a bird. So, what's next? Lily asked, the excitement returning. Do we just wait for the mystery text monster? Flink stretched and squinted at the cloudless sky. Maybe we should investigate, like detectives. Detectives? Lily squealed. That sounds like way more fun than a pop quiz. With a plan forming, they decided to add a bit of music to their detective work. Let's write a theme song, something catchy, Flink suggested. Like, we are the detectives. Watch us find answers. We'll solve the mystery and rock the dancers. They broke into laughter again, the sound blending with the chirping birds. But beneath their playful banter was a real sense of purpose. Together, they would face the unknown, facing whatever came next with the resilience they carved from past battles. Now, where do we start? Lily asked, glancing over to where the park was beginning to fill with other kids. Flink pointed towards the school building in the distance. The source of all our mysteries, plus it's where the last bully showdown happened, or where we can find clues about this text. Lily added, her heart racing with the thrill of adventure. Together, they flew off the swings like they were launching into a daring mission. No matter what lay ahead, they felt ready, armed only with friendship, laughter, and a song. The shadows of their past slowly faded behind them as they stepped into the light of uncertain but exciting tomorrows. Lily and Flink sat on the rickety porch of Flink's grandma's house, a light breeze rustling the leaves and making shadows dance on the ground. There they were, two detectives in their own right, still buzzing from the sparkle of their recent talent show victory. Flink adjusted his goofy detective hat. You think we'll find the secrets behind that mysterious text? He joked, tilting his head like a confused puppy. Lily giggled, maybe it's an invitation to a secret pizza party or a quest for the world's largest ice cream sundae. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. What if it's a message from a secret society of cats? Flink misread her joke, his brow furrowed in serious thought. Wow, cats are very wise, you know. They could teach us a lot, like how to nap anywhere. He closed his eyes dramatically and leaned back, pretending to snooze right there. As their laughter faded, the weight of past challenges settled back in. They'd faced bullies and worse, but somehow they had come out stronger and closer together. Remember when Miss Thompson thought we were planning a plot against the school's cafeteria lady? Lily chuckled. Just because we got caught eating extra dessert. Hey, the chocolate cake was calling my name. Flink exclaimed defensively. And it was a good cause, cake should be shared. But the way she chased us with that wooden spoon was classic. Lily laughed as she flailed her arms, mimicking the wild swinging of the spoon. I'm surprised we didn't get awards for how fast we ran. Their laughter always had a way of chasing the darkness away, but the mystery text still lay heavy. Do you think it might have something to do with those weird sounds we heard last week? Flink asked, his tone dropping a notch. Lily nodded thoughtfully. Yeah, it sounded like someone trying to sing, but maybe they were just missing a few notes or a few brain cells. The two erupted in fits of laughter again. Flink couldn't help but offer his best and worst impressions of the weird sounds, making Lily snort giggles that shot soda out of her nose. After they calmed down, Flink looked serious again. But seriously, what do we do now, if it's something dangerous? Lily placed a hand on his shoulder, her eyes gleaming with determination. We face it, together, like always. We're not just survivors, we're thrivers. Thriver squad to the rescue, Flink proclaimed, puffing out his chest like a proud hero. Then he pointed dramatically to the distance. Onward, my partner in crime. As they packed a backpack filled with snacks because snacks were crucial, Flink checked his phone again. Okay, so the text says follow where the sun kisses the ground. What in the world does that mean? A sun kisses the ground, that sounds romantic. Lily joked as she pretended to swoon. Maybe we need to find a sun-loving plant first. Flink rolled his eyes. Lily, it's not about flowers and hugs. Let's think like detectives. Maybe it's a place with lots of sunshine. Lily's face lit up. The old playground, that place gets lots of sun. Maybe we'll find our mystery text there. Perfect. But first, Flink lowered his voice dramatically. We need disguises. You can't solve a mystery without looking mysterious. And so they transformed themselves with whatever they could find. Sunglasses that were way too big for their faces, and hats that looked ridiculously silly. They took a few goofy selfies to document their detective styles before heading out, laughter buzzing around them. Arriving at the playground, they noticed a group of kids playing nearby. One of them, an old bully named Scott, spotted them right away. He sauntered over with a sneer. Look at the wannabe detectives. What are you going to do? Solve elementary school homework mysteries. Lily stood tall, her heart racing but her spirit unyielding. Actually, Scott, we're solving a much bigger mystery. Maybe the mystery of how you end up eating lunch alone every day. Flink added, yeah, with all that mean energy, I'd be scared of other people too, boo. He made a spooky face, and for a moment, Scott looked genuinely confused. Whatever, you losers, Scott muttered, striding away, but not without glancing back, as if the idea of having his lunch stolen by alien cats now seemed a bit too believable. Lily and Flink exchanged a triumphant look, and in that moment they burst into laughter again. With renewed determination, they began their search, portraying their unexpected adventure as a game. Each step was a giggle, each corner a laugh, and regardless of what lay ahead, they knew that together they could face anything, especially when laughter was a part of the journey. We'll crack this case wide open, Flink declared, and with a quick fist bump, they fully embraced their quirky detective roles. Golden crowns of laughter glimmering brightly amid the chaos of their world.